On weekends, his neighbor dragged him over to help trim the veggies in the yard. The neighbor said he was a minimalist. That's why he had no money and lived super tight. Lots of people mix up minimalists with total losers, but they're totally different. He had deep thoughts and stuff, but he shot back. You're broke as hell, and all those thoughts can't fix your hot water heater. The neighbor quickly changed the subject, started talking about vegetables. After trimming all the plants in the yard, they both took a bath. The neighbor laughed and said he was like a little kid, drinking milk after his bath. Salty mayo with crisp cucumber slices. One bite and he couldn't stop. The neighbor said, "This is what happiness looks like for regular people." They kept chatting. Then he suddenly brought up his dad. He said his parents split when he was 4, so he barely remembered his father. Now social services wanted him to pick up his dad's ashes. If he took the ashes, he'd have to plan a funeral, buy a burial plot, tons of money. He didn't think he had any obligation to do all that stuff. His weird neighbor uncle talked him into it, so he finally got on the train to social services. The worker said they found his father dead at home last month. They did the autopsy and cremated him right away. The guy with glasses casually opened the urn and showed him his dad's intact Adam's apple that they kept. Back at his Riverside apartment, he went to pay rent. His landlady, Ms. Nam, looked surprised to see him. She laughed and said tenants who pay on time were super rare around here. Then she handed him a milk candy as a tip for paying on time. He took it and popped the candy in his mouth. Then he folded the wrapper into a paper crane and put it next to his dad's urn. Days just kept passing in the same routine. He started feeling like his life was totally predictable. At work, the Squid Factory boss gave him pep talks while stocking shelves. After work, his landlady, Ms. Nam, treated him to ice cream and they chatted for a bit. On his way home, he saw the father and son from across the hall cooling off outside. He nodded hello and was about to go inside, but then he spotted a Tombstone ad flyer by his door. The man across the hall said, "Everyone dies eventually. Better prepare now so you won't panic when your time comes." Seeing his confused look, the man said he sold tombstones. Then he smiled and asked if he wanted one. He awkwardly said, "No thanks," and escaped into his place to cook dinner. But right when he finished cooking, his neighbor smelled the food and came over to take a bath. This time, he even put beer in his fridge. During dinner, the neighbor said the ashes should really be buried properly. He glanced at his neighbor and said he had no money for a tombstone. That night, he had another nightmare. He woke up freaked out, grabbed his dad's urn and ran to the bathroom to dump it in the toilet. But when he lifted the box, he suddenly hesitated. Finally, he ran to the river with the urn. Just when he made up his mind to dump the ashes, some master guy appeared out of nowhere behind him. He remembered this person was his neighbor's friend. Sure enough, the next day, his neighbor smelled something and tracked him down. He called him out for illegally dumping ashes, but if he crushed the ashes finer and scattered them, that wouldn't be illegal. After saying this, the neighbor sniffed the air and said, "Smells amazing." Turns out the tombstone-selling father and son were cooking sukiyaki. With something like this happening, he wasn't gonna be polite. He told the man to hurry up and grab bowls and eggs. He glanced at his neighbor, then left without looking back.